What's up, everybody, and welcome to another exciting installment of the ASOG podcast. I am one of your hosts, Rondy Woot, and joining me as always is Mr. Nintendo himself,
It's Jerel Rosebar, people.
Mr. JJ Rubrums, indeed, and we've got a guest back by popular demand with the three-peat, the hat trick. It is Mr. Mark Ignacio. Welcome back to the show.
Well,
Markrosoft. Markrosoft.
Markrosoft. I didn't know if you'd
I'll,
like it or
I'll,
not, man.
hey man, I listened to the podcast last week. It was actually very good. Yeah, no, I'll still go by Microsoft. I don't think they can sue me for that. So until I
Okay.
get a cease and desist letter, we'll be Microsoft for a
All
while.
right. And cease and desist letters, we throw those in the trash all the time. So, if you know, it's like a
I can't even.
summons.
Yep.
Yeah, if you don't
Mhm.
see it, if it goes straight to the
Yep.
shredder, you don't gotta.
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
yeah,
You're right.
speeding tickets.
I
Uh,
cease and desist receiving these.
yeah. Cease and desist sending
Okay.
me these cease and desist letters. So we are here because the Nintendo Switch 2 got announced this morning at a Nintendo Direct. We want to talk a little bit about, first of all, following up on our previous podcast, some of the assumptions or the predictions that we made, and then what they showed in the Direct. Have you guys both watched the Nintendo Direct?
I
I have.
have.
Awesome. Surprisingly, I did too. Let's start like right out the gate. A June
It's good.
5th, a June 5th release date, which I'm still gonna say I nailed that because I said June 6th. Now, what happened when they released or revealed the original Switch was they said March 2nd, but if you look back, the release date is listed as the 3rd, the Friday, not the Thursday they said it was coming out, but the Friday it actually launched. So that June 5th release date is a Thursday date. So really, that's June 6th. So we were right.
Yeah.
But the price point, base console $449.99, and then there's a Mario Kart World bundle that's $499.99. I didn't think they'd go to a $500 price point. Now, with that being said, that 500 is the console and a game. So technically, yeah, we're not at 500. We're at 450. Okay. I forget what I said. The high end of what they might drop it at is, but 449.99 is fine. It makes sense. I would have loved that $400 price point, but it makes sense with like the tariffs or the cost of manufacturing and all that kind of stuff that we hit that 450 price point. Before we go any further than that, how do you guys feel about that pricing?
I kind of figured it'd be that. I think in the last podcast I said it'd be somewhere between 400 to 500 in that range. So this is kind of what I was expecting, but it still kind of pains me to pay that much for a Nintendo console.
Yeah,
Um, I'm gonna trade my OLED Switch in, so hopefully I can get at least $100-$200 off of that, or sell it somewhere so I can use that to pay off the console. But yeah, no, $500 is steep. Um, I did see a report that games are going to be like $70-$80. So that Mario Kart World will be $30 cheaper than it would. And I think they wanted to set the price point at five. So yeah, I'm still gonna get it. Doesn't matter. Like, I'll never financially recover from this, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm still gonna get it.
yeah. I think that's really interesting because there's a perception that that's steep because we think about the track record that Nintendo has and not necessarily the industry as a whole. Because when Microsoft or Sony wants to release a 600, $700,000 console, people are like, okay, that's tough, but makes sense, or okay, but this is an investment. But as soon as Nintendo breaks that $500 line, you're like, whoa, that much for a Nintendo? So I think they kind
Mhm.
of they set themselves up that way with conditioning the consumer to expect a certain thing. And so yeah, there is a lot of discourse about that $500, but it's still a bargain compared to like their contemporaries. I don't want to call them their competition because Nintendo themselves will say they're not competing. And Nintendo is kind of everybody's like second console. Like if you want to play Pokemon and Zelda and Fire Emblem, like you get a Nintendo console. Some people are
Yeah.
PlayStation Nintendo or Xbox Nintendo, and there's plenty of people that are not console gamers that say I have a PC, but of course I also have my Nintendo. So that makes sense. But yeah, it's still a good price, all things considered. But I do get it for like the parents that are just used to getting their kid the $250 Nintendo thing every few years. It's like $500, like never mind. And you brought up a great point, Microsoft, about the bundle being a bargain because that $500 price point gets you what is ostensibly a 60 or 70, you said maybe even an $80 game.
Hmm.
80
Yep.
would be wild because that's above what Xbox and PlayStation games are charging or what they run. So I don't know about 80, but even if 60 and 70 seems totally feasible.
Yeah.
And as it stands, if that game is a $60 game, that bundle is still a $10 value. So it's all gravy like on top of that. So that's like the price point. And then of course they went into Mario Kart World, which is a launch title. That launch date again being June 5th. Are we excited about Mario Kart World? It's basically like, I guess, I don't want to call it
Oh,
like Need for Speed, but yeah, like it's like Underground, Need for Speed Underground, or like Grid or whatever game not Grid, Burnout Paradise.
I was about to say Burnout Paradise. It
Yeah,
seems that I love Burnout Paradise, except this game might be far more violent
yeah.
because
Get Luigi with that shell.
Mhm.
So you've got a free roam mode and a photo mode, and like Mario Kart World is going to get its own direct on April 17th. So I guess we'll see more about that game. But what are our initial impressions on Mario Kart World?
Well,
uh, Go ahead,
go,
Jay.
no, go ahead.
No, I was like, well, first of all, they announced Mario Kart World, and it's what's that called? Exclusive to Switch 2. So there's no Switch 1. So the people who really want to play has to get one. Has to get a Switch 2 immediately. Um, it spans the globe. They talked about. It feels more like a Le Mans type of 24-hour type of gaming where you probably have to pause for a little bit if you're playing by yourself. You pause, and then it takes you a whole hour to actually get from one end to the other. I don't know how long a track is going to be and all that good stuff. So I mean, yeah, 24 drivers. That's a lot. That's a lot of players. A lot of things happening at this at one time, and then yeah, I mean, a whole lot of skins in there. Like they showed Peach driving with the whole different skin. So that's a cash grab again for Nintendo. Like they'll sell skins for that. So mind you, I've been waiting for a Mario Kart in forever. So I wanted to get the new Mario or the old Mario Kart with all the downloadable content. Now I get to start fresh with this one and just use this, and of course the DLC is going to be theirs, and I'm going to get it anyway. So yeah, I'm just a sheep when it comes to Nintendo. So I'll buy the things.
Yeah, and Mr. Nintendo himself, Jerel, what are your initial impressions about Mario Kart World?
I loved seeing all the stuff they revealed in a game. It literally looks like an open world Mario Kart from the fact that when you finish one race, instead of you just teleporting to the next track, they want you to drive to the next race track,
Mhm.
which in itself is very interesting. So, say you get to the next race first, do you get a head start or do you have to wait for everyone else to show up? Also, the new character designs, like for Donkey Kong, he looks like how he did in the movie, which makes you wonder, are they going to redesign every other character, or is DK just getting a new treatment because he also conveniently got a new game, which looks great too. But for
Yeah,
Mario Kart, this are they going to do unlockables or are they going to do DLC for this game? Because Super Mario World, Mario Kart World, it just feels like everything is just going to be released out of the box, seemingly. Because how can you not with that?
the fact that it's not numbered, it makes it almost seem like it could be potentially a platform in and of itself, especially with the long tail that like Mario Kart 8 had, Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and like adding DLC to that. This could be, hey, this is the Mario Kart you're going to be playing for the next 5, 6, 7 years, and we're just going to kind of release $20 packs, DLC packs, $30 packs. And Markrosoft, you mentioned how they're selling skins, and I had a question that it pained me not to interrupt to ask, but are they still considered skins if they're for dry bones? So that's one thing that I thought about. um,
Right?
and
They would
Yes.
turn into Koopas, I guess, at that point. They would.
yeah, the guy has no skin in the game. And yeah, the I also thought about Midnight Club. It's very Midnight Club-esque, not so much Need for Speed. But do we also have that shared experience of like in Mario Kart 64, realizing that you could actually drive over to Princess Peach's castle where they do the trophy ceremony? If you're on that map, you can take that dirt road out of the way, and that was like your little first taste of kind of having this oh, I kind of want to go over there. You can actually go over to the castle and drive around. This is so cool. So
I
it's
was disappointed that I couldn't go inside the castle.
yeah, but it's like a realization of that like fantasy from 1996 or whenever, which is really neat. Do you think that this is going to be like a platform and where they're just like, hey, this is the game for the foreseeable future? The way like there's a GTA Online, the way a lot of these games have kind of turned into just stay on this game and pump money into this because it's getting harder and it's getting even more expensive to make new games and it's taking a lot longer to make games. So I see this trend in the industry of trying to like milk a game for all it's worth or like turning a game into basically a glorified cash shop, which I don't think that the game's going to be of poor quality. Nintendo's going to knock it out of the park, but maybe they've thought we got to figure out a way to make this the Mario Kart for 10 years. And if that is the case, is that a good thing or does that rub you the wrong way?
Any other game, maybe. Um, like games like this, like GTA, and that add value to the game in itself. I think I'm fine with it. It's one of those uh like maybe Assassin's Creed on my point,
Hmm.
where I can play the whole game and not have to buy the DLC and be satisfied. Uh, the DLC for at least Mario Kart 8 uh kind of gated me away from all the extra levels that they had, all the extra skins that they had. So I wanted to play those, and I think because Nintendo is the way Nintendo is, it's fine. Like they're like you said, they're not competing with anybody. This is all them. And if I buy Mario Kart World, that gives them more money to actually make more Mario Karts and or you know more first party stuff. So I fully support Nintendo and their and it's tough to say with being Microsoft.
Yeah.
I fully support Nintendo and their ventures. So I'll buy the Legend of Zelda, I'll buy the Mario, I'll buy the and, the Mario Kart. Which by the way, they should have just made a Nintendo Kart World where they added that Kirby's Air Riders into
Hmm.
this. You know, another racing game. Like, come on, and that's probably why Air Riders was in the back end
Yeah.
because they're
They're going to cannibalize
mind
each other.
space of yeah mind space of racing is the first game, and I was like, man, okay,
So
but
what
yeah, no, I
you're
think it's fine. I think it's all right for Nintendo to actually do this. What do you guys feel?
that with all these racing games coming out, we might get another F-Zero game. Who knows?
Man,
Isn't F-Zero? Isn't Falcon in the thing? No, they're
Yep,
not.
that's
even
Falcon.
if he is, it's not an F Zero game. But I think their answer is you can play F Zero GX on Nintendo GameCube through the Nintendo Switch 2 online.
I
Please look forward
squealed
to
when
it.
I saw that. I
Um,
squealed when I saw that in Nintendo GameCube online.
yeah,
I literally screamed when I saw Pokemon Coliseum and
yeah,
Pokemon X.
an XD Gale of Darkness, and we will touch on that. I'm kind of going through their run of show in order. There is going to be the Mario Kart World Direct on April 17th. What is like what are you expecting? What are you hoping to see from that? Like, I feel like they showed the game off. We kind of understand what's going on there, but like, if you're tuning into that, what's the news you're hoping to hear, or the thing you're hoping to see?
As in regard to Mario Kart.
Yeah, because it's getting its own direct. So like we've seen the game. What more do we need to see, or what questions could we have, or what could they possibly do to excite us or entice? Why is it getting its own direct? So as a viewer, a
Right.
potential viewer of that direct, what would you be sitting down there to watch it for? What could they say to you or show to you? You'd be like, whoa, yes, this is awesome. After
They
having already seen the game.
they could show us in-depth look at the items, the courses, the characters in the game, how new items do they work. They can show the new game chat integration and how now Mario Kart lobbies will now turn into Call of Duty lobbies. Um,
Especially
they
that
could show
camera. People are going to put some things on that camera that are not their face.
and that
You're right.
Dude,
yeah,
like, come on.
You're right. and it's like it's one of those cameras, and the way they positioned it right beside the TV, so that I dude, I can see it now. Well, I don't want to see it now.
Yeah.
People just in their underwear, just getting up from the couch, and then
Yep.
whoa, hold
Yep.
on.
Yep. Man, imagine
It's
that
it's a
being able to voice chat
it's the
and have a camera
yeah.
on online games. Welcome to
Oof.
2004.
Oh my goodness! Welcome to the century, Nintendo.
And the way they have the camera set up, it like they can actually see you and you can actually interact with it and all that good stuff. I feel like it's the Connect all over again.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I guess that's where what happened to all the Connect cameras. Nintendo just went ahead and gobbled them up and using it. So I
Yeah, they
mean,
went grave
it's
robbing.
seriously. I mean, Switch 2 camera, it's going to be $50 extra on top of that console. Uh, at least the game chat features is already on there. It's supposed to be a smart where you can noise canceling and
Doubt.
doubt.
I've got big doubt, man. And they even had the guy with
Okay.
the blender on in the background. Like, dude,
Hmm.
it's not wired. It's not like next to your ear. Like we've all used a PlayStation built-in DualShock controller. It's like, what is the audio quality really like, and how is this noise
Yeah.
canceling working on like the if your system is docked, it's like far away from you and your TV. There's all this space, and then you've got that microphone there. It's like,
Hmm.
I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. But that does, that we pivot kind of to the next thing they showed off was the Joy-Con 2. So there's like, the built-in microphone on the system and stuff like that. But this Joy-Con 2 has the magnetic attachment to the game dock. We've got game chat, which on my notes I put in parentheses, it's 2025, bro. Like they talked about game chat like they invented it and it was some revolutionary new technology. Now you can talk to your friends while you play games, so it's like you guys are together even when you're apart. Like we know this is industry
No,
standard. This has been the way we play video games for over 20 years now. This
oh
is you
my
should
God,
have
I
been
didn't
here.
know.
This is
Let me talk to
crazy.
my friend over Discord.
They spent 10 minutes talking about this nonsense like gamers weren't
Yeah.
wondering where it was on the Wii U. Like absolutely ludicrous. And the Joy Cons have mouse functionality, which I
I,
saw some neat applications.
I think Nintendo listened to your podcast last week and they were talking about how you guys were digging on them about the game chat feature where you actually have to use your phone and all that good stuff, and it's weird. And I think that's why they spent 10 minutes telling everybody, hey, we now have this kind of game chat feature that's included no matter what. Especially with the game share. I will talk about that later
That is
on either.
actually the next thing I want to bring up, but
Oh
yeah,
man. But
go
let's
for it.
let's go with that mouse controls real quick. I think I'm only excited for that when the new MarioWare game comes out. I
Mm.
think they're going to do something with the MarioWare with the mice and mouse and all that good stuff. Um,
I didn't know you get the
uh,
mic for it.
and then my biggest question for them is, are they actually going to come out with a Nintendo mouse like they did for the Super Nintendo?
Ah,
Right?
that is a good question. And I
Correct.
don't know how much of an impact that's going to make the whole mouse functionality like in the long term. Because they're always like even with the Wii, the whole thing is motion control, and then people flock to
Hmm.
games like Resident Evil 4 or some of the Zelda games that become the standout games of that generation. And no one's looking back like unless you're like a Wii Sports enjoyer, talking about how much the motion control added to the overall gaming experience. And then they always kind of release their like 1-2 Switch or their Wii Sports
Yeah.
or Nintendo Land
Yep.
that is like purpose built to show off kind of the new gimmicks in there. Games like Arms, and then we very quickly see after like that 1 year honeymoon phase of the game that developers don't want to develop for it. It
Yep.
ends up only being in first party games because there has to be parity across like Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. So you've already got your game made, and now what are we're gonna shoehorn this mouse functionality into this Tony Hawk game? Like there's no incentive to do that. So it just seems to me like one of those flash in the pan things. But you brought up game sharing, which did we see this noticeable like lag and blurriness when they brought up
Let's talk
like
about.
when they full screen? Like, dude, this is your reveal direct.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
like this
It
is
was
your
very
reveal
bait for
direct.
them. they made it. They were completely honest with it, and they shouldn't have because it
I,
was filled with lag and frame rate drops.
yeah, I'll give them that. But kudos for being honest and showing what it's really going to look like as a player when you get this thing in your house. But like, man, you guys stood on stage and said that with your whole chest. Like, here, look, you can even expand to watch your friend's gameplay. And then it was like 240p. It was like, it
Dude,
was,
it's funny because the Switch is well, Switch 2 is 7 inches, right? Like I don't know
which
the
is a
dimensions of
perfectly
that screen.
great size.
Yeah,
Yes,
oh,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's bigger than most.
Don't let anyone tell you different.
Yeah.
But it's not the way the size of the
Yeah,
screen
it's
is
the
how you
same
use it.
thickness.
Yeah, it's about the performance.
Yeah, it is the same thickness. Oh my gosh. But having all those multiple screens in there, how big really is the screen space for your gaming? And I understand now that hey, go ahead and we'll watch the other player play the game, and then we'll just be on chat. Like that, nobody does it.
Right.
I
Yeah, I was
mean,
about to say because PlayStation 4 and 5, I think they have that kind of game sharing or like
yeah.
share screen. I'm not. I never sit down at my console and open it up to watch my friends play in picture. Like I'm not interested in what you're doing.
It it
Like
it's to me it's very emasculating that my friend can beat this boss better than I can. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to see your, hey, I'll congratulate you. Hey, good job getting all those kills or whatever, but I'm trying to compete against myself, and I don't need another person trying to throw me off on the
yeah.
things that I can't do.
I
So,
could see some small use cases, like not just to
yeah.
watch your friends play, but if we're playing the same game and I'm like, "Did you get that one thing from that one temple, or did you see that guy that's out here?" And you're like, "Dude, where?" I'm like, "Oh, just hold up, watch my screen," and then I'm showing you like it's behind this
Yeah.
rock or whatever. And you're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Then you can immediately hop on your game and go to where I showed you it is. But like the odds of that happening, or like the frequency with which that's going to happen, odds are you're just going to look it up online, and there's a YouTube video for that on like youtube.com/a state of gaming or some random channel. And
Yeah.
there's
Good name drop. That was good. That was
hey
amazing.
man, I like those guys. But and then game share, not just the screen sharing, but they announced the game sharing, which does seem pretty cool. To my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's not an online functionality. That's console to console playing multiplayer where only one of you has the game cart. Now, if you can do that online as well, that's pretty cool. But even if it's just local, like if I have Mario Party and you don't have the game, but because we're together, we can just play Mario Party together. Your Switch 2, my Switch 2. I'm the only one with the game, but now you can play it with me. I don't know all the ins and outs of game share, but here multiplayer between two local consoles, could be wrong, with one
I
copy
believe
of the game.
because the DS was built like that, and I think it was kind of built like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and
thought it was up to 4 or up to 3.
oh yeah, I don't know the limitations on how many consoles, but it is. Is it online or is it local only? Do we know that?
I
Because
think it's
Oh,
local.
okay,
I
yeah,
thought it was online.
yeah,
I need to watch that direct again. There was a lot of things, but I thought it was online as far as game share was concerned. I thought they try to gatekeep that with uh the Nintendo subscription or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But
But you got
yeah,
it's like $1 every 10 years. I mean, at this point, you got to have the
yeah,
Nintendo Switch Online subscription. And then while looking through that, that functionality did strike me as familiar. I thought it was something on the PSP, like ad hoc mode. But what I did find was interesting. The Game Boy Advance actually had this functionality called Single Pack, PAK, because they're cool. And there were some games on the Game Boy Advance that had like single pack technology or compatibility. Games like Advanced Wars 1 and 2 and like Bomberman, some other games I
Mario
saw on
Kart.
there. Yep.
Oh,
And it required a link cable, but only one of the people had to have the actual GBA cartridge. So that was pretty cool, and it's cool to see that this is kind of in Nintendo's DNA, and this is something they've always kind of wanted to mess around with, and they're re-exploring that avenue. Um, and then getting into kind of like the dock while we're still talking about the hardware and its functionality. Finally, what people have wanted for the dock to play a more meaningful role in contributing toward the power of the system. There's HDR support, and you've got the fan built in there, and they're going to do not ray tracing, HDR, and which I just said, but 4K and all that other good stuff. So it looks like putting the Switch 2 in the dock actually does provide a little bit more like oomph for the system, which is great. It's not just a glorified like projector or like a display. It's not something to just display your game with. And then there's two USB-C ports. There's one at the bottom of the Switch 2 and one at the top. If you're docking it, that bottom port is just in use from the dock. So I guess it's just you can now plug one thing into your Switch 2 while it's docked, but which may be a controller.
The camera.
Oh, right. That's what they want you to put into it. Yeah, the camera. So you can do your hot tub streams or whatever's going on over at twitch.tv/astateofgaming.
Plug it in the charge while it's undocked as well.
Yeah. Which is cool. I mean, I'm someone who likes to charge their controllers while they're playing. Like to me, like my PlayStation controller might as well be wired because it does stay plugged in while I'm playing it for the most part.
Same.
And then we've got kind of the specs here. The 256 gigabytes of storage, 4K dock support for compatible games, which is interesting. How many games are going to be compatible? And like that the system itself plays compatible Nintendo Switch games. So I don't know if this is like a Xbox 360 situation where like 90% of the original Xbox catalog plays on it, but there are a few games that don't. I don't know if they're just saying that to cover their bases because 3 games won't play for whatever reason, but the bulk of them do. But it is interesting that they specifically said for compatible Nintendo Switch games. I don't think that's going to affect most people. Yeah, I mean, if they're greatest hits, if they're best sellers, I don't think you'll have to worry about like Zelda, Pokemon, Mario, whatever being incompatible. I doubt that. They talked about Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is like, it's basically an interactive owner's manual.
It should have been free.
It should have been
free. Should be free.
Exactly. I have here, it says it's a paid games. First of all, it's not a game. The word game is used very liberally here. This is like
R.
Yeah.
Liberally.
Liberally. The fact that it doesn't just come as a pack-in like a Wii Sports or like PlayStation Home, just like digital software that's on the system to show you how to get around and to get you to, I don't know, man, like this is the thing that's supposed to get me familiarized with my system and excited about using it more. So if I'm not already sold on your system or comfortable with your system, you think I'm going to spend $50-$60? Now, they didn't give me a price. It could be $30. But I just think that needs to be a pack-in because it goes a long way toward endearing the owner to their new console. I don't think you want to put any amount of friction or any barrier between the player, the new system they just got, and like learning all of the ins and outs of that system. It's a very silly thing to do. Like Astro's Playroom was included with the PS4 or 5 or whatever, and that was very smart because it's like, hey, you just got your system. Here's all the cool things it does. That's what you want to do. So weird move, especially considering Wii Sports has like the highest like attach rate or sale through of like any like Wii game because it was just there. It's ubiquitous. People think about the Wii, they think about Wii Tennis, Wii Bowling. But hey, Nintendo go to Nintendo. Are you guys getting Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour?
I'm not.
No.
No?
I'm not. No. Unless they give that to me for free. It's like, oh, thanks for pre-ordering. Yeah, awesome. No, that's the fact. So I was intrigued. You get like this nice little PlayStation Home type of, you got to go around, get to a door so you can actually play this game and all that good stuff. Great video, and then they said, and this is going to be a paid game, and I'm like, nah, all right, no, the way you said it, there was friction when they said, here's how you functionally play your console, but we're going to gatekeep that for $30-$40 or something. Yeah. So I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll consider it if it's less than $10.
I doubt that, man. Less than $10. If they were willing to make it less than $10, it would have been free. I don't see it being less than $39.99. But I could be wrong. That's absolute clown shoes.
I mean, that's the contention too, right? Like, how much are upgrade packs. Now,
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 was $10, right?
Hmm.
Um, how much are the upgrade packs from Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2 to actually make it 4K HDR, I guess compatible, whatever. How much is that going to be? Is that going to be $10 as well, or is that going to be the difference in price between 50 to 70 or $20 or $30 or something like that? So that's scary, and I'm glad they didn't talk about it today because that probably would have turned me off the whole rest of the games reveals. So
Yeah.
um
It does beg the question, though, like, did they not mention it because it's bad news? Like, they didn't even drop the actual
probably.
price point of the console. You had to go to the website after the fact to find that
Mhm.
information. So it's like anything you're deliberately, it's like the elephant in the room. Well, how much are these upgrade packs? Like you said, how much does the console cost? Like, you're leaving out crucial information because you have to be mindful that, well, this might sour the rest of the program, or this might, make people not want to get the system. Now, one such piece of information like that they talked about while talking about the hardware and about the 256 gigs of onboard storage was that the existing micro SD cards actually would not work for the console, that they had to be micro SD Express specifically. And I think that's something that might have gone over a lot of people's heads. And that might be, something relatively shocking when you get your system and you think you're all ready to go and you've got everything plugged in and you're like, why can't I save this, or why isn't this working properly? And it's like, it was really a throwaway sentence in that moment that, like, hey, micro SD cards will not work for this. They need to be micro SD Express. And then what is the cost of that? So that kind of
I
thing.
got I gotta check mine now because
Yeah, I don't think it's an Express. I don't know if I don't keep up with SD cards, but is the micro SD Express industry standard? Is that a thing that, like, people have already been buying?
I've never
So
heard of it until today.
yeah, I'm not quite sure, but maybe Expresses have been around for 3-4 years or more. But, like, the original Switch does not need those. And so if you've got hey, I got a 500 gig, I got a 1 terabyte micro SD in my Switch, I'll just pop this bad boy out, move it to my Switch 2. You absolutely will not be doing that. And for somebody who has their save data or, like, their games on there or something, you've got to now transfer that from one SD card to the other and then hope that that doesn't ruin the compatibility. Like, Nintendo sometimes is weird about, well, this SD card is registered to this console, so you can't use it in this new console unless you format it. Do you now have to upload your stuff somewhere, retrieve your data? Like, sometimes they've got some antiquated ways about doing things. Like, if you try to buy a new, like, 3DS before deactivating your account on the old one, you got to go through this whole rigmarole to, like, get access to your account because it can't be on two different devices. It's a nightmare. It's nonsense.
I mean, they will let you do it digitally. They said you can do it through the cloud, or if you have a Nintendo Online account, you can do it digitally.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully they make that smooth. I haven't heard anything one way or the other, so don't want to cause any alarm, but just a thing to think about. Get your ducks in a row. Get your micro SD Express before you go home and turn that system on. Just make sure you have everything that you need so that you can enjoy your system. I know when I bought a PS3 way back in, like, 2006, I didn't know it would be 3-prong power cord because the PS1 and PS2 were 2-prong adapters, and I got my system from Best Buy. Not sponsored. I got all the way home. I unboxed the system and everything. I'm so excited to finally, like, enter the next generation of gaming. And all of the, like, power outlets in my house were 2-prong power outlets, and I could not play my PlayStation. Like, I got home and could not play it. Had to go back out and, like, go to Circuit City and Radio Shack to try to find this 2 to 3 converter adapter. And
Throwback.
yeah, man, it was like, but that's the last thing you want. As an aside, this is a total tangent, but I see this question pop up that parents talk about, like, should I download all the updates and install all the software and stuff, like, on this PlayStation or Xbox that I bought my kids, so that on Christmas morning or on their birthday, they can just, like, turn the system on and play it? Because these days, there's, like, so much you got to do after you buy a system before you can actually play the system. Installing update files, pairing the controller, like, all this stuff that's, like,
logging onto your email,
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
remember the password that
Logging
yeah.
you
Xbox
reset.
Live, PlayStation Network, Nintendo
Yep.
Online. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, there's all this, like, rigmarole. It's not just flip up the power switch and then Pika and you're playing Stadium 2. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. So, I mean, I don't know. If you're getting a Switch 2 for your kids for Christmas or whatever, like get your Express SD card, or else there's going to be a lot of complaining in the household. But anyway, I'm not a parent, apparently.
So I mean to that point, I think one of the reasons why they made it from 28 gigs to 256, whatever uh storage size of the console. One, probably because it's going to be in 4K. Secondly, because the Switch One didn't have that much memory, and they actually had to buy an Express. And I think the positioning of that just basically is trying to warn people, hey, if you did have an SD card that you used, you might have to buy a new Express. But we have enough storage in this new system that can, if you had games that you want to download from the Switch One into it. So I think I don't know their talk track. I don't know the way they the way they wanted to present that, but I think that's what they wanted to say was, hey, we now have 256 gigs in this console by itself. I don't think you need to buy this, but if you do, hey, buy the Express because it's not going to work for the other one or whatever.
That is a
And
very
I just
interesting
checked my
point.
Switch. Yeah, I just checked my Switch, and it's the older one, and I'm mad now.
Yeah,
It's not the Express, and I was like, dang it.
right. So yeah, I mean, like buyer beware. But that is a fantastic point, because I
Month?
yeah, I do not know the storage size, like the file size or
Mhm.
whatever of these games, the install size, all that. I do remember the big fiasco with the original Switch. That's a strong word, but like it was when NBA 2K came out, or people were trying to play NBA 2K. That game was like 5 times bigger than the maximum storage capacity of. You
That's
got to hit
it.
him with the makeup artist with the hand there. Um, there you go. There you
Nope.
go. I know it's not
Nope.
working, but we got to make him feel better.
Is it
Uh,
Express?
It's not.
it's of course
It's
it's
not.
these
Of
things.
course.
Nintendo's manufacturing these things as we speak.
This is a terabyte though. This is 1 terabyte.
Yeah,
That
but
is
it ain't gonna
now
work.
used.
Ooh,
It ain't gonna work. It's
It's
zero.
not used.
Is zero. See, but that's the thing. Like, is it, hey, we don't think you'll need it, or is it, okay, we've got 256 gigabytes. By the way, Mario Kart World is a 300 gig install. Like, obviously, I don't think it's gonna be, but like how many games are we talking about with that size? Like, that doesn't really mean anything in a vacuum, because we don't have the information as far as like how many games that's worth. Um, and they
probably why
talk,
they didn't announce Call of Duty.
yeah,
Because if they
that's
announce Call
why.
of Duty, then yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's all your memory.
yeah.
No, Auto 6 on Switch 2.
Right. Well, they showed some game. I mean, there's like Tony Hawk 3 and 4. There was
Last four.
Borderlands 4, which I'll talk about silly Randy Pitchford a little later, but he's catching strays. Uh, but they talk about Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 edition, and that's when we kind of get into these games having these upgrade packs, which, as Mark pointed out, we don't have pricing on that. So is this, hey, pay the $20 difference, or is this, hey, it's $30, or is this, hey, a $10 upcharge? We don't know. Is it enough to say, like, let's take a game like Pokemon Legends ZA, for example, where we already know there's going to be a Switch 2 version. If you buy the Switch version so that you can start playing it and you want to enjoy that, before you save up for the Switch 2 or whatever your situation is, I don't know your life. Is the difference going to be such that you're like, well, I'm better off just waiting to buy the game for when I get my Switch 2? Or is it going to be, hey, I can afford to buy the game now and then I'll spend the $10 or $15 later to upgrade? Are we going to be holding off on buying these Switch 2 versions of games because we don't want to double spend, for the game and then half of the game again? Well, we don't know. We got to wait for that price point. Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 edition comes out July 24th. Showcase the controller gimmicks, so like the mouse and the enhanced rumble, which every generation seems like want to make the rumble rumblier, because that's what everybody's clamoring for. You got Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2, which are in HDR. Kirby and the Forgotten Land Switch 2 edition. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond has 2 versions. They showed off some of the mouse functionality with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Pokemon Legends ZA has 2 versions. Then they went into some of the third-party stuff: Bravely Default, Tony Hawk 3 and 4, Hitman, Hogwarts Legacy, Yakuza 0, kind of barreling through some of that. then we finally do get back. That segment kind of closes out with a not quite a first party title because it's Koei Tecmo, but it is Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment, which is slated to come out in winter. Still wild that this franchise exists, Dynasty Warriors Zelda. Are you guys Hyrule Warriors fans?
I've been turned into one. I played the last Hyrule Warriors. It was great. A lot of they try so hard not to say kill in that game
Oh, that's
because
funny.
every time you take out anybody, it's just KO. You KO so many people. No, he's dead. He's clearly dead. He's not moving.
Yeah, Ganon fainted. Yeah.
Ganon's resting for thousands
I
of
mean,
years.
what if they can't actually do a story for the Legend of Zelda movie and it's just going to be Hyrule Warriors type of movie?
This is what I was talking about when I said this show should be a series instead of a movie.
Yeah, no, I put on a comment on there that I completely agree with you with the whole movie thing because there's so many versions of Zelda. There's so many timelines and multiverses and all that good stuff that they should really make this into a series versus versus one movie. And then um, I completely agree with the whole, Link being the silent hero. So who's going to play him? Like, do we even get to see his face? Like, there was a movie in the killer's perspective. It was a third person. You're just following him behind.
Mm.
The camera was behind the killer, and it was just trying to trying to share that side of the POV of that side of the story. And the killer didn't talk, which you know it was great because we knew that that person was just there to kill. Is that movie going to be that way? Like, is that going to be following Link from behind and he doesn't talk and all you could probably see his eyes, his emotion if somebody asks him a question or something like that, or every time somebody asks him a question, there's going to be an action scene like, "Hey, we should jump in the water," and then you'll see his eyes light up, and then they jump in the water or something like that. Like, it's going to be weird. I'm probably not going to watch it day one. I want to see the track. I want to see the reviews on this, but yeah, I have no hopes for it.
Yeah,
So
I couldn't even say cautiously optimistic. Like I don't have hopes for it either, which means that if it's good, it's going to be really good because we
yeah,
expect it to be bad. So there is
yeah,
that. Um, but whenever Timothy Chalamet announces that he's playing Link, like I don't know who's going to play Link, but like you have to either have this guy surrounded by supporting cast all the time, so that there's a character that's speaking, if they put Navi there the whole time, or however they want to make it so that this isn't a silent film, or if he has like a some buddy or whatever, or and which would really upset people is if he just speaks in the movie. Like there are those Philips
yeah.
CDI games. I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos. Like you've got the Philips CDI game, so there's a precedent for Link speaking, at least there. But if they do that, I mean, trusting the reviews, I say this a lot about the movies like Snow White and all that other stuff that's out there. I mean, they just get review bombed.
Yeah.
So you can't even look at a review because there's going to be people that review this thing poorly simply because they object to it being made. And then there's going to be people who review it poorly because Zelda is so precious to them and they didn't do it exactly the way they wanted them to do it, regardless of quality. So this is definitely one of those things where you got to find your people that are like-minded. Like, this is the guy I'm going to listen to about how he feels about this movie because, we have some of the same sensibilities. I'm not going to trust like a Rotten Tomatoes or even like an IMDb or anything like that. It's like, what does, this guy, what is Kind of Funny's Tim Geddes think about this this movie?
He's retiring. He's out.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. He's like, this is the straw that broke the camel's back.
This will be
But
Ryan Gosling's biggest role as Ganon.
yeah, this is gonna be Johnny Knoxville as Tingle is what's gonna happen in that movie. I have no clue, man.
I put down Terry Crews as Zelda
As Zelda.
2025
Zelda.
as Zelda. Terry
All right,
Crews.
all right, he can do it. Yeah, I saw him in White Chicks. He's got range.
Danny DeVito is Navi.
Yeah, Edward Norton. I don't know. They're gonna get somebody in there to do
The
something.
Rock. The
Yeah,
Rock is that.
gotta keep that guy. He's in every movie, man. Get that guy out of there.
Might as well.
They could get Kevin Hart to play Tingle. They don't even. He's got the same size. That's the
Yeah,
joke. The joke is
They
same
didn't even
size.
have to.
Yeah, the joke is he's short. You get it.
no, The Rock,
Oh my gosh.
The
What if?
Rock
What
can
if?
play Link, and you can have Kevin Hart play Young Link.
You could do that.
Oh my gosh, dude! I would watch that. I would day one. Day one. Link to the Past. Or Ocarina of Time. Young Link is Kevin Hart, and old Link is The Rock.
The Rock.
Oh man, I'm there.
Goodness gracious, we made the movie better. There you go. Thank you, Shigeru
There you go.
Miyamoto. Please look forward to it. Please be excited. So here's the call to action for people who have managed to keep watching us for this long: is please leave your dream casting in the comments. For Link,
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast $99.99.
Yeah.
For Link, for Ganon, for Zelda, for Tingle, for the Great Fairy, the Deku Tree. If he's in it, you want Robert De Niro to play the Great Deku Tree. Leave your dream casting in there, Dreamcast. And also, should they make Link talk or not? And I'm excited to read those and hear about that. Then, of course, they went into the Nintendo GameCube Online stuff. The coolest thing, in my opinion, about that was that wireless GameCube controller with the C button. Like, it's all revamped to be like contemporary for the console, but it's GameCube shaped. Everybody loves that. They also showed that
Probably $50.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Wind Waker's there, Soul Calibur 2, F-Zero GX, with more to come. And those games that have multiplayer will have online multiplayer functionality, which is fantastic. They're also doing a new Pro controller. And for some reason, Borderlands 4 was announced at this event. So, which is
Borderlands before this at all, like in general?
That's the thing. Like, I don't remember hearing anything about a Borderlands 4 prior to this. But it's not.
Was this just a Borderlands 4 the Switch reveal, or was this a Borderlands in general reveal?
This was a Switch reveal. Borderlands 4 was announced, I believe, Video Game Awards December last year.
Cool. Did we see gameplay? Because when Pitchard was talking about this is our biggest, most ambitious. Okay. Because we saw like them take off in that airplane, and like we saw some gameplay and stuff there, and I was like, I don't remember seeing Borderlands 4 before this.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not a Nintendo game. It's not like a Switch 2 exclusive or like designed for the Switch 2 or anything like that. But that was interesting. That's my first time seeing Borderlands 4. And I love Borderlands 1 and 2. 2 is my favorite. Pre-sequel was garbage. And 3 was disappointing. Now, Borderlands, the Telltale one, Tales from the Borderlands. Tales from the Borderlands is a fantastic game that more people should play. So weirdly enough, the series has more hits than misses. It doesn't feel that way, but it's because it's been such a long time since they really hit big, in my personal opinion. But I hold out hope that Borderlands 4 is better than pre-sequel and 3. We'll see if Randy Pitchford can do it. You guys have any opinions on like third-party games on Switch 2 in general? Because historically, Nintendo is the worst place to play any multi-platform game. Do we think that this is the generation where people are no longer saying, "Oh yeah, this is the bad version"? Like Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch is atrocious.
Hogwarts is atrocious.
Yeah, it's a
and
joke.
They're coming out with the second one.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Anytime
you even think about like playing a real video game, the Switch version of it, it's like objectively a worse way to play that game. But now that we're talking about 120 FPS, which by the way, on supported titles, but now that they're saying, okay, 120 frames, 4K, HDR, like, are we no longer worried to play like a WWE 2K26 on the Switch 2? Or are we still kind of like, I'll just play that on PC. I'll get that for my PlayStation.
And that's the biggest question. They announced Elden Ring with it, which is graphically intensive. They announced Cyberpunk 2077, graphically intensive. The Hogwarts game, other things, Final Fantasy VII Remake, that's graphically intensive. I think those games have to be played on their actual consoles, their actual the way it was supposed to be built. For example, Last of Us 2 got to be played on the PlayStation 5. Halo got to be played on the Xbox. I know Halo's kind of going to come out on the PlayStation. I get that, but it's got to be played on the Xbox. And the Switch for me is really just the Nintendo games for it. Zelda, Mario, Mario Kart. Um, uh, uh, I guess Civ 7 would be good on it because you can
The
take it
mouse.
everywhere. But yeah, yeah, that functionality. But other than that, I think I'm going to get the games, specifically for that console or how it was ever made for before I even think about the Switch 2. Now, because it is 4K 60 frames and then 1080p 120 frames,
Correct.
um, um, I don't. That's probably why I was dismissive with the pricing of $500 because the consoles, uh, even the Series S, which is $300, can produce 4K,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So I don't know, man. I think I'm just going to play it for the Nintendo games, Pokemon. What's that called? Um, oh my gosh, I lost it.
Well, there's Mario Kart. You
Uh,
got Donkey Kong. You got Kirby Air Ride or whatever it is that you want to play. That's first party.
Fire Emblem.
Fire
Yeah, you
Fire.
got
Emblem.
your
That's yep.
Kirby, your Donkey Kong, your Luigi,
Donkey Kong,
Mario,
Mario, Luigi, Zelda.
Paragon.
I think they had me in a good spot with the OG Game Boy. That was when I was most satisfied, and the Game Boy Color, Atomic Purple, which is being keyed out, chroma keyed out. There we go. Very cool,
Awesome.
very good.
Hey,
To
I,
me,
I have a story real quick
yeah.
before you get into that. So I went home to the Philippines after 23 plus years, 26 plus years. Um, go home to to the house where I lived, all my games, all my Legos and all that good stuff. I was expecting it to be there. I get home,
Uh-oh.
I looked at my room. I saw my Sega Mega Drive box. I was like, "Oh snap! Here we go!" Opened it up, empty. There was nothing there. I asked my mom's. I was like, "Mom, where where'd my toys go? Where'd all the things go?" He said she gave it away.
Oh
So
my God! Didn't even sell it. Gave it
she gave it away.
away.
So yeah, um, yeah. So that hurt, but still, I found like some of the games, some of the Super Nintendo games. If I ever get invited to another podcast and my wall is now complete, you'll get to see all the things. So I'm planning to build shelves within the next couple of weeks for it.
Yeah, we
Go
were
ahead
talking
with
a
your
little
point.
bit. No, I will. But we were talking about like the walls. You like just got into this spot here, and I was like, man, these people are gonna. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be like a roast. Like, is this guy reporting from like a bunker, or
Great
or,
report from the Morning Studio.
or if some crazy geoguesser was going to be like, I know that corner. I know the geographic location, the XYZ coordinates.
I
If
know
I
you can
that
guess
just
it, hey,
room.
I just got a screen here, man. I'm not, but I was gonna say about like the Game Boy and stuff. Like to me, Nintendo has always been like the Pokemon platform. I was a Sega kid growing up. That might explain a whole lot, undiagnosed. But the Game Boy and like basically that 1998 sweet spot of like Pokemon Red and Blue being all the rage. That is when I started putting tons of hours into like Nintendo products. Now my little sister had an NES and like a Super Nintendo and an N64. We didn't grow up living in the same place. I mean, that's enough of my lore. But basically, I didn't have Nintendo in the house. So for me, it was like, oh, I'm over a friend's house and we're playing some Mario Kart. But that's like a couple hours at a time. It's not like my game that I'm grinding in or developing an emotional attachment to. It's just like something you do when you hang out. Uh, but when I got my Game Boy, we're like, yo, it's been 3 days and I have 70 hours on Pokemon Blue. Like we're out here defying the laws of time. And when I bought a Nintendo handheld, it was because I wanted to buy Pokemon. Like I had a Game Boy, I bought Pokemon Blue, Game Boy Pocket, Pokemon Blue. When Pokemon Yellow and Gold and Silver were out there, I was like, I have to have a Game Boy Color because I have to have my Pokemon. Same reason why I had a Game Boy Advance SP for Pokemon Sapphire. I got the DS because I needed to play Pokemon Diamond, et cetera, et cetera. I would not have ever gotten a Nintendo Switch if I didn't need it to play Pokemon Sword and Shield. That's just kind of the way it is for me. So, me looking at the Nintendo Switch 2, knowing that it's going to be a $500 device that I buy to play Pokemon Legends ZA for 2 months before putting it down for 4 years, that is a lot to ask, especially considering that I can get that game for the regular Switch. Um, I, I've bought a Nintendo Switch very many times. It's really weird, and I'm dumb for doing it. But I got a Switch on launch day with the red and blue Joy-Con. That's a weird thing to do on the internet. But
Hey man,
and then
Joy Cons. I'm just saying, joy.
I don't know if I
Forever joy.
sold or gave that to Jerel, but Jerel got my original Switch. I forget how and what manner I parted with it, but you
I
got
still
that
have
one. Yeah, so I like eventually gave that away because I was like, I don't even play this anymore, and that was like the year it came out. Then I ended up buying another one with the gray Joy-Con, and then I didn't play it for a while, and I sold that one. I got a Switch Lite, and then I was like, nah, this thing ain't hitting. I got the Fire Emblem edition, or like the Smash Brothers edition of the Switch, which I sold like 2 years ago. But I've bought like the Switch 3 or 4 different times, and I always go in with the best of intentions. I'm gonna play so much Smash Bros. I'm finally gonna get into like Mario Odyssey. I'm gonna, man, play the heck out of this Breath of the Wild. 2 months, 3 months later, I've had my fill of that particular game that like rekindled my like desire to get on a Nintendo console. And when like my love affair with that game runs out, the Switch collects dust, and I'm like, I could be making money off of this, and then I sell the system. So I go into this knowing $449.99. I buy the bundle just because it makes the most financial sense. So $500. I get Pokemon Legends ZA for 3 months. I'm ecstatic. I love this thing, and then I put it down, and that's the end of my Switch 2 experience. Maybe I even buy a Pro controller for the 5th time and sell that. Um, but that's kind of like where we are with that. So I'm either like straight up not going to get the Switch 2, or I'm going to get it, play it for 3 months, sell it, and we can all laugh about how silly that was of me. But are you guys? You guys are both like day one, I'm getting this thing, and do you already know what your first couple of games are going to be, or are there games you're looking forward to where it's like I'm buying it because I know that this is going to come out and I need this?
I am getting it day one, obviously, because I'm the Nintendrone that I am. We'll be getting Mario Kart World. I will be waiting for Metroid Prime 4, playing it just like a stupid PC gamer with mouse and analog stick.
Gross.
Then Pokemon Legends ZA. I'll be playing that like I did Legends Arceus religiously until I 100% complete it, which I did Legends Arceus, by the way. The inevitable new Mario game coming out, Generation 10, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm basically super excited. And whenever Melee comes to the Nintendo GameCube Online, that is going to be over because I can finally. Actually, I'm not going to forget what I was about to say. I was going to say I'm going to finally get rid of my GameCube, but I can't do that. I still got to have my original hardware.
So I'm gonna get it day one. I'm gonna get the $500 bundle day one. I'm probably going to get the camera. Um, Probably. They did say that if you have another webcam, you can use it as well. But more than likely, it has to be USB-C for it to actually work. And then I'm gonna get the games. I'm gonna Street Fighter 6 with the 3 amiibos. I collect amiibos. I think I only need like 20 left of those
Wow.
amiibos to be completely. And those are just the hard figurines. I didn't collect the cards, but yeah. So I collect amiibos. You'll see it when the room's finally done.
Nice.
Um, Split Fiction. The fact that it's coming out on the Switch too, and you can game share. Hopefully, that probably that probably would be one of the games that I get for it. And then that's probably it. Like I'm like Jarell, I'm gonna wait on the the new Mario game, the new Zelda game, the new Donkey Kong game. Definitely. I don't know if I'm gonna get the Kirby Riders, because I'm gonna get the Mario Kart World, but yeah. And then nothing else. I'll probably just wait on until what Xbox and PlayStation has, or hopefully by then I have a PC as well. I'll never financially recover from my addiction, but we'll go from there. How about you? I know you're probably going to buy day one, but you're gonna sell it after 3 months.
Absolutely.
Um,
I'm trying
oh,
to find the name of that Marvel game before I forget because I would be remiss if I didn't mention Marvel Cosmic Invasion is actually
yeah,
another game that I saw uh, during
that
the.
beat 'em up.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pokemon Legends Z and then Marvel Cosmic Invasion are actually the two games that I'll play on that before I sell it. I hope it's
Before you sell it.
yeah, I hope it's like 4 player. I would love to get online and do like a Turtles in Time esque like final fight.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
that'd be
man.
nice.
That is something I'm very excited to do. But unfortunately, that game is most likely going to be multi-platform, so I'll get it on PS5 and then I'll just play it that way. Uh,
Hopefully it's crossplay, and then hopefully, uh, uh, let me ask you guys, when you guys play Pokemon, do you guys specifically play one game and then not play the other? Sword and Shield, Scarlet Violet, Z and
yeah,
A.
my
Like,
historically, I kind of picked one because I was growing up with an older brother. So he had gold, I had silver. I had blue, he had
mm,
red, that kind of a thing. And I think even when Diamond came out, I just had Diamond. I never had a Pearl file.
mm,
Later in life, I want to say around the time that it might have been with Shield and Sword coming out, that they started selling those double packs on the
yes.
Nintendo shop, and you save a penny buying it that way. But you get some DLC codes for like 20 quick balls or whatever it is. It's stupid. But I started buying the double packs, so I had Shield and Sword. Going into it, my mentality was I'll have like my main file where I fill up the Pokedex and like min max everything and just keep that for posterity and like play online. And then the second game is a game where I can like rinse the file, like play through it, have some fun,
Mm,
decide I want to do this next playthrough differently, delete the file, move all the Pokemon over to my main game. Where I'd have one that was like permanent and another one that was for me to just play and have fun and reset. It never really turned out that way. It was I put everything into that first game. I start up the new game and I'm like, I don't want to do this again. And then like the file never makes it past badge 1 or 2. And I just did that again with like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. I did it again with Scarlet and Violet, where like I played through all of Scarlet, filled up that region's Pokedex, got everything done,
mhm.
got my team to 100, and then like was out before the DLC even came out. And I own Violet. I've never even played a minute of it. So yeah, I buy both games. I play one of them, and I regret it. I have really bad habits with Nintendo. like,
Nintendo thanks you for your
yeah,
continued support.
yeah. I'll have one of everything. Oh, I hope you have fun. I won't be using it, but like, that's like the dumbest stuff you could possibly do. But so
Durrell, do you?
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, to sum it up, I'll get all of the games and the system, and then I'll play one of the games for 3 months, and then I'll sell everything. Yep. Jarrell, how about you?
I will not sell anything. Once I have Nintendo, I have it for life. They have me since I came out my mom. I came out my mama singing, "What?"
Wahoo!
But uh, I can't imagine selling this after 3 months. But
Will you buy both Z and A if they do come out, Z and A two games?
yeah, I usually do.
Okay.
But I'm the same way with him. I have one as my main game, and the other one I just fuck around in. But in the second game, I would use that to say farm items or legendary Pokemon. I would say catch that Pokemon or get that rare item, wipe the game, rinse, repeat. Because I really didn't mind playing the game over again because I
Mhm.
love the game. The only time I didn't do that was in what game was that? I think it was Shining Pearl.
I had a feeling you were
Shining
going to
Pearl
say
just
that.
flew so slow compared to the other game. I just didn't want to do that again.
Yeah. Yeah, those were weird ports. or like update, whatever you want to call them. They're not that
Yeah.
far removed from the original games in a way that everyone says is what they want. Just give us Pokemon Crystal the way it was, but playable on Switch with online. But I think if they got that, they'd be like, why does this exist? It's not good. And they'd be like, that's because it's a Game Boy Color game, and it is good, and you're wrong.
It's
But
fantastic.
but yeah, dude, I wish because there was some rumors, there was like rumblings of them announcing because it was Pokemon Crystal's like 30th, 20th, some anniversary for Pokemon Crystal, 25th, who knows, but or for Pokemon Golden, so some situation. And I was like, dude, if they announce like Nintendo Switch like online store Pokemon Crystal with support for online trading and battling, I would be so happy with that. Because I still to this day play Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, but I'm like on an island. You know, I can't get my Kingdra, I can't get Machamp, Golem, Gengar because there's no trading. And I would love it for those games to be in the zeitgeist again and to be able to hop online and actually play against and with people. And, you know, I still have so much love for those games. But
We can do that with the DS, but
yeah, I do have it on. I play it on 2DS XL. But if someone doesn't already have those games, like that eShop is defunct. So if you were to go out and buy somehow a 3DS, a 2DS, you can't buy those games anymore. You don't have access to those games. So it's unfortunate. But you know what? Anybody who didn't own them already is a fake fan who I don't want to play with.
yeah, you should have got one when it came out. Like those,
Yikes!
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. Oh, who is your starter going to be in ZA?
Did they
contrary to
announce the starters
my
already?
Yeah,
oh yeah, they
it's
did.
Totodile, Chikorita, and not Cyndaquil. It's Tepig, I believe.
Yeah, that's
Not-
right. That's right.
Yeah,
I'm a fire starter.
yeah, you are Arson.
Yeah. Um, well, my name is Ignacio, which is like Spanish for Ignis, whatever, fire. So
Spanish for Ignis. He said Spanish for
Whatever.
another word that's not English.
yeah, I'm just saying. So I'm a fire starter always and will always be. So
well,
Tepig.
I'm glad we got it on camera.
I love that. I love that so much. I would love to do that more. It's French for this word in Spanish. Yeah.
Mhm.
Get rid of that like English centric mentality and just. Oh man. I
Find
have.
me.
Yeah, another CTA for people in the comments. Who's your? Are you going to buy Pokemon Legends ZA, and who's your starter going to be? Is there anything else? That's kind of like it as far as the planned talking points there. Anything you want to add personally about like what they left out of the show that you were hoping to hear about, or like just general thoughts about the Switch 2 or some of the games before we see our way out of here?
I have to.
Go ahead.
Sure.
One, I was literally expecting the 3D Mario game because they do that with every Nintendo console. And when the last announcement was a Donkey Kong game, I was genuinely surprised and pleased because, you know, not that much attention over Donkey Kong series over the years. So that he's finally getting his own game after one of my favorite games in his series, you know, Donkey Kong 64. I hope that game is like that. That is probably my favorite Donkey Kong game ever. And I'm so glad he's back in the limelight. And the other one was, I swear to God, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate better be one of those expanded games to go to Switch 2.
So Street Fighter 6 is going to come out with 3 amiibos. And if it doesn't come, like those fighters go into Smash, I'd be very, very disappointed. So that's you said you have 2, right?
Yeah, that was it.
The
Just the
first one.
Mario
Oh, okay,
game,
okay.
Smash.
So just general knowledge for everybody. The Pro Controller, Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller is going to be $80. The Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Con 2 controllers are going to be $90.
Jeez.
So that's $45 each. The Switch 2 Joy-Con 2 charging grip is $34.99. The Switch 2 Joy-Con 2 and then that whole naming convention. I don't know why
The
they did that.
S2J2.
Nintendo's yeah, the S2J2 straps for the controllers are $13. The Joy-Con 2 wheels are $20 each. The Switch 2 cameras $50. the dock set with charging cable and HDMI is $110. The Switch 2 carrying case and screen protectors $35. And then the all-in-one carrying case is $80, and then just the Switch 2 AC adapter is $30. We probably have a lot of adapters and USB-Cs everywhere now, so I don't think you'll need that. But just general knowledge for people who wanted to, know the pricing for the things. So they didn't talk about that. They didn't talk about the pricing, which probably would have jaded a whole bunch of people away from the Nintendo Direct, and I understand why they did it the way they did it. They just announced it, put it on their website. Hey, if you want to see the things, here it is. They announced that the pre-orders are coming out April 9th. Where are you going to pre-order? So I'm going to ask that question. Are you a GameStop guy? Are you just going to pre-order online, or are you Best Buy or whatever? All in the chat. Yeah. Whoever puts that down.
Put that in the comments. Also, thank you so much for the price breakdown. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I did gloss over the fact that the Switch 2 Pro Controller to Electric Boogaloo 2 has the GL and GR buttons on the back of it, which are programmable. Programmable to any button that you want to map them to, and the C button and the larger L and R's on the Joy-Cons, so that they're more convenient to hold sideways for if you love inconvenient gameplay. But so that's awesome sauce. And for me to answer that question about pre-orders, if I get one, I mean, I'd probably pre-order it on Amazon.com because Bezos needs more money. He's also not the CEO of the company anymore and hasn't been for like 4 years, but nobody knows the name of the other guy. And
that's the way it might be you. We don't know.
You know what?
Right?
Mum's the word.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, probably just online. And then my games, I mean, this is like a point of contention, I guess, but I buy everything digitally. How am I going to sell it then, you ask? I'm going to sell the console and then lose all of my money that I spent on games. That's, I made my bed, I'll die in it. Jerel, where are you ordering yours from?
I've never ordered a console online. I feel kind of iffy about that because I live in urban neighborhoods. So I kind of would like to pick it up physically.
Whew. So that somebody else can pick it up from you physically and then push you physically and then physically run away. And
then I can physically attack him with my high attack stat because I have an enhancement with a weapon with sword stats. This isn't a sword, this is a
I'm the same with Jerel over there. I'm going to pick it up physically at the Best Buy. I'm hoping if this gets enough traction that they have a midnight opening kind of deal. So Wednesday night going into Thursday, I'll call into work. Be like, hey, I can't go in right now. I have to, my feet hurt or something like that. I don't know. Something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely picking it up. I can't do, and I don't know where, like, I still don't know the neighborhood here. So I don't know if, my packages will be safe. So
fair. Yeah, very fair, actually. I can't get an Uber Eats driver to drop my food off at the house. I always got to go outside and walk a block. So I don't know how I feel about a Switch 2 ending up on somebody else's doorstep, but joyous Kwanzaa, I guess. Yeah.
It's June. Kwanzaa.
Yeah, nobody knows when Kwanzaa is. All right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Our resident Kwanzaa expert, Markrosoft Ignacio. All righty. Well, thank you so much, you two, for joining me, Jerel, as always, and for Markrosoft deciding to pay us another visit here. We're always happy to have you. Anybody?
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so very much. As a viewer, listener, I hope you've enjoyed this thing. Of course, if we missed anything that you wanted us to talk about, or you have any questions, or you want to add some comments, do so in the comments. That's where those go. But this has been the ASOG podcast. I've been Rondy Wooten.
I'm Jerel Rosemar, reminding each and every one of you to make good choices.
And Markrosoft here. Spay your pets. I don't. That's a.
Parker.
That's a.
Take care, everybody.
This is right. See you guys.